I'm a West Point graduate, and back in early 2014, a classmate of mine from West Point was actually in town in Phoenix, and so I had coordinated with him to link up and have dinner with him and his wife and my wife, and he was like, "Dude, you need to come work for me," and I had no idea what he did. And about 6 months later, I started thinking about a career change, and my wife said, "Hey, call that guy." And I go, "What guy?" And she goes, "Remember that guy we had dinner with?" And I go, "Yeah, okay." So I call him. I go, "Hey, you said come work for you. What do you do?" And he said, "I do mortgages." And I go, "Oh, okay." It turns out he was president of a mortgage bank. So he linked me up with the branch manager in Phoenix, and I went in, sat down with him, and 2 hours later, I was like, "You know what? I'm a math geek, and this is something I could be really good at." So I started doing mortgages in October, like middle of October of 2014. The funny thing is, I did a VA loan when I was in the Army, and that was probably in like 2000, and I had no idea I did a VA loan. I actually pulled my certificate of eligibility, and I was like, I'll be darned, I used a VA loan before. And I honestly had no idea I had done that. And so the fact is that so many veterans and active duty people are out there, and there's so many people that just have no idea what a VA loan is, what the benefits of them are. And heck, even the guys that were in the military back in, let's say Vietnam or something, back in those days, the VA loan benefits actually expired. And so a lot of those people think, "Oh, I'm not eligible for VA loans," and that's just not true. Once you're eligible forever. And so just so many misconceptions are out there about VA loans. And so when I first started learning about them, I mean, obviously veterans like to talk to veterans. We connect well with veterans. We tend to trust a veteran. So I just kind of gravitated towards that. And there's a lot of nuance to a VA loan that maybe is a little bit different. When you're talking to an active duty person and you start talking about their base pay and their BAH and their BAS and different professional pays like jump pay and hazardous duty pay for EOD guys or Navy SEALs and things like that. Like, I understand that because that was my life. That was my paycheck. I lived it. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And so we're speaking the same language. And that's a big part of it. When you start getting into all the acronyms and everything, are you speaking the same language as your borrower? And if there's a disconnect there at all, especially in a big transaction like a home purchase, now that's where things can start to get a little sideways and maybe some distrust and some misunderstandings, and that's all bad in a mortgage process. It's gotten bad press over the years, and I'll give you my theory on why that is. On a VA loan, here's the easy out, is an originator can call the realtors and say, "Hey, the VA denied this loan." Because, right, the VA is this big, nasty government agency, right? And, "Oh, the VA did it. The VA did it." What they don't say is, "Hey, I made a mistake. I calculated the income wrong. I used rental income when I shouldn't have. I did this and it was wrong, and the underwriter denied it." Fact is that the VA never sees a loan until after it's closed in 99.9% of cases. So there's very few reasons why the VA would have to see a loan before it closed. And so over the years, it became, "Oh, the VA is this big bad place it's so hard to do a VA loan." Well, guess what? It's not. As a matter of fact, the VA loan gives me so many more options as an originator to fix problems. If problems arise, the VA loan gives me lots of different ways to fix it. So the big myth is that VA loans are so much more difficult. People say, "Oh, VA appraisals, they're horrible." Well, it's not true. The same appraiser who does the VA appraisal today, guess what he's going to do tomorrow? He's going to go do a conventional appraisal, maybe an FHA. They use the exact same methodology to put a value on a conventional loan as what they do with VA. Yes, there are a couple little things about a VA appraisal. They don't like peeling paint. You got to have handrails on your stairs. You can't have holes in the wall. You can't have exposed wiring. Some little things that are kind of like, duh. VA makes you get a termite report if you're anywhere other than the frozen tundra of the north. The VA makes you, if you have a well, they make you test the water so you're not getting poisoned. That's common sense that we should be taking care of people, right? So I just feel like it's gotten a bad rap. It really has. And it is the number one benefit of having served in the military is your VA loan benefit, hands down. And we have something like 20 million veterans in the United States, and only something like 13% have used their VA loan. I mean, it's kind of a travesty. I just feel like my customers, I guess the best way to say it is I feel like they deserve 100% of me, because what's going on in their life is probably the biggest thing they have going on right now is this home purchase. Now, granted, a lot of my guys are active duty Army, Navy, Air Force. You know, they're PCSing across the country. So there's all that uncertainty they have going on. They have their family, they're dragging their kids out of school. Their wife is going somewhere potentially that they don't know anybody, or maybe they only know a few people. And so there's all this uncertainty, and what they don't need is for me to give them more stress because I didn't pick up my phone or I didn't answer a text message. And so they deserve that kind of respect and in this process. And then the other thing I tell them is like, look, if, you know, I know my wife, if she has a question for me on a Saturday night and she can't get an answer till Monday, she just lost 2 nights of sleep. And I don't want that to happen to any of my people. And so I tell them, if it's Saturday night and you have a question, don't lose sleep for 2 nights. Just shoot me a text message. I'll probably know the answer off the top of my head, and I'll get you squared away and you can rest easy till Monday. I don't know that I would say anything's necessarily challenging. I love the fact that everything's different. I do love to solve problems. I love piecing things together and figuring out the puzzle and maybe how things fit, where a lot of originators might just go, I don't have time for that. I'm going to be like, you know what? Let me figure this out. Let's figure out how we can get you in a house and what we need to do, or maybe what you need to do over the next couple months to set yourself up. So those are the things, those are the challenges that I like. It's a lot of fun. What I think the important thing is that you get into groups or put yourself in situations where you're in groups of people that you have an affinity with. And it doesn't really matter what that affinity is. My affinity happens to be just military people in general. I like to hang out with them. I like to be around them. And so, you know, I'm around military people all the time, and it leads to a lot of VA loans, right? Just be involved in those things where you're rubbing shoulders with other people that maybe have some of the same interests as you. And when you're in that group, you just have to be vocal enough to let people know that, hey, this is what I do. You know, I do mortgages, and I feel like everybody should have a mortgage guy, right? Everybody has their accountant or their mechanic for their car, but you can walk down the street and go, hey, who's your mortgage guy? They're going to go, I don't know. Don't know who that is. So all my people, I say, hey, I'm your mortgage guy for the rest of your life. You can call me anytime to talk about mortgages, and I will talk about mortgages with you. Understand that this isn't just a transaction. This is a relationship that I want to carry forward with you for the rest of your life. You're going to buy 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 more houses in the next 50 years. You know, that's what I think is a big thing, and I think most people miss it.